Hi, my name is Ariel and I'm a superstar director in Missoula, Montana. Wanted to chat a little bit about a decision that I made about a year and a half ago. And I think it's a decision that we don't see a whole lot in direct sales and party planning and marketing, and maybe it is and I'm just not aware of it, but it seems to me like oftentimes people will join a company because they want to replace their full-time or part-time income and be able to work at home, be at home, and and have that be their income. And so I wanted to share my story because it's a little bit different and it might resonate with some of you, or maybe you can share with folks who are looking to maybe do that in the future too. So I joined Scentsy. It's been a little over 11 years. I joined in 2008, shortly after the birth of my first child. So I had been in college, graduated from college, had a baby, had an internship over the summer, but then had my child in September, and had made the decision with my partner to try just being a stay-at-home mom, at least for the first year, see if we could swing it financially, and then if I needed to get a job after that, I would, or be able to keep being a stay-at-home mom. And so I was doing that and being a new mom, and about 6 months into that, my third grade teacher called me up, and she had retired from teaching, and she said to me, hey, I am now a Scentsy consultant, and your mom and your sister think you would like to be one too. And I was like, okay, gosh, first of all, what is Scentsy? What's a consultant? And what are my mom and my sister getting me into? And she goes, oh, it's that thing that you have in your bathroom that you put the cubes in that makes your house smell good. Your mom says you love it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do love it. And I just didn't know it was called Scentsy and didn't know it was a consultant thing. And what had happened was my mom gave it to me as a gift, and she would buy 6 packs of wax and then split up the cubes in between herself, my sister, and I. And so nothing had packaging where I could even know. Like, this was how I got new scents. Like, hi, Mom, I need some cubes. And then she would send me cubes to where I live about 3 hours away from her. So anyway, my former third grade teacher kind of gave me the lowdown on it, told me what I could make doing it, and told me what it was and what it might require of me and how to kind of get off to a great start. So I was like, okay, thank you for that information. Let me talk to my partner about this before I make this decision. I will talk to you later. So hung up the phone, talked to him about it, and kind of thought like, this doesn't sound like something you can really make money with. But I loved it and could maybe use something to do while I was at home. And kind of thought like, well, why not, right? Why not give it a try? If it's just a hobby, at least it's a hobby that's making money instead of costing money. And what do you have to lose type of situation? Consequently, or maybe not consequently, but conveniently, I had just received a tax refund, because now I had a dependent, right? It was like the first refund I ever really got. And so I had some extra money that I could invest in getting Scentsy started up. And so actually, like a couple days later, my third grade teacher called me back, which was so good that she did, because it also wasn't something I was going to pursue. Like, I was like, okay, yes, but like not gung-ho yes, just like, okay. So she called me back and I was like, okay, I'll do it. So she got me all set up and going, and I was able to begin generating an income that was really good at supplementing what my partner was making, and still being able to stay home. So I built a team, was doing Scentsy with friends, and more than anything, really liking the social aspect of it and the getting out of the house and all of that with the baby, right? So built my business. I think it's important to note that about a year and 2 months after I started, my partner died suddenly. The father of my son died suddenly. And so then at that time, his income was gone. And we weren't married, so there was no Social Security for me, Social Security for the little one, but not very much, and divided the income, actually not in half, like more than half, because he was the primary income earner, and I was doing Scentsy, building it, and it was getting more and more, but not as stable at that point. So, however, I was able to keep doing Scentsy, keep growing, keep building, grieve on my own terms, take days when I needed to go see family. Like I said, my immediate family lived about 3 hours away at that point, and so being able to take a week and not having to ask for it off and take our, then almost 2-year-old son to have a little help, to have a little support, and to kind of do what I needed to do, especially in that time. And as you know, the way the Scentsy sales cycle goes is that the fall tends to be the most robust. And so got through that summer, came back and was booking parties and just continued to grow, right? And again, had tremendous support from my family and tremendous support from my team and all of that helping kind of along the way. So continued to do that and continuing to do Scentsy full time. My kiddo went to kindergarten, just again, continuing to do Scentsy full time. I'm married, and my husband owns his own business as well. And so he was running his business. I'm running my Scentsy business. Our kiddo's in school. He's young. And there are many benefits to being able to work from home 100% of the time. We have not been able to have any more children. And so it's just been this one growing up. And, as children get older, they need... I shouldn't say they need less support because they still need support, but it's just not the same level, especially when they're in school. And so he's been in school. He's going into 6th grade this year now, actually. It's just a different season in life. And so about a year and a half ago, actually, I'll never forget, I was driving him to a meeting point to meet his grandparents because they were going to take him hunting. It's a pastime he loves to do with them. So I was driving him to that location, and I got a phone call from a nonprofit who, it's called Tamarack Grief Resource Center, and after my partner died, I went through some of their support groups, their support retreats, just gained a lot of strength from it. It's a nature-based support group, and just thought it was so helpful because when you're in grief and you're in that spot, it feels as though no one gets it. Your well-meaning friends and family who haven't been in a similar situation, or maybe have, but no two situations of love and death and loss are alike. The way that they can try to kind of support is missing a little bit from what you really need. And so I just felt like it was so helpful to have this nonprofit that specialized in grief support, and so had stayed in touch with them and contributed to them what I could each month for some time, and then from time to time through other fundraising campaigns, and definitely shared them to other people who I knew who had experienced death. So definitely recommended them as a resource and stayed in touch that way. So I got a call from them that said, hey, we have this position open for you, or not for you. We have this position open and we think it might be a good fit for you. Would you be interested in coming in and learning more about it? So at that time, my son was a 4th grader. So I was like, okay, went in and talked to them, and it started at very part-time, like less than 20 hours a week. But I wanted to hop on and share the reason behind why I kind of re-entered the workforce after having a direct sales business, which I still have, and is still growing and thriving, still earning awards, still earning trips, still growing teams, still providing support and doing parties, still doing things that I was doing when I was only doing my business. I think that sometimes maybe people from the outside see like, oh, she went back to work, her job must not, or her Scentsy must not be going that well. And I want to definitely say that is not why I chose to take this job. The reason I chose to take this job was, first of all, it was near and dear to my heart. So it was something that I believed in. Second of all, I had more availability schedule-wise to take it with my son being in school. I'm still home when he gets off of school. And I'm, still able to take time off to be involved in not all of his school things, that's for sure, but some of them. And that gets less and less too as they grow up in school years. So why would I choose to be self-employed and only solely run my Scentsy business and choose to go back to work or go to work someplace and continue to do both? Like I said, near and dear to my heart, more availability. And also I was realizing that the consultants on my team, especially, new consultants or anything like that, the people on my team, the majority of them also work. And so for me to sit at a place that is only having Scentsy to do and being able to do it on my schedule whenever I could wasn't really meeting them where they were, right? How could I understand what it's like to work all day, come home, still work Scentsy, still take care of family, if that's not what I was doing? Or some of my team members maybe have 4 children. And how do I understand what it's like to try to run a Scentsy business and try to drop off samples when you have 4 children? That is something that I still don't know from firsthand experience. But I thought by joining a workforce for a cause that meant a lot to me, it would help me kind of understand the realities of balancing a job and growing a Scentsy business. Now, for me, I will say it's been nice because the bulk of my customer base has been built for me when Scentsy was all I was doing. However, we know as our good customers become teammates, we need to get new customers, and that often happens. So you can't just stop. It never just stops. You always have to be getting new customers, growing that potential join list. And again, as a person who's out there in the workforce now, I meet people. And of course, I don't meet them on my job and say, hey, I do Scentsy, like buy some from me, because that would be really unprofessional. And conversely, I don't go to my Scentsy parties and say, hey, support this nonprofit that I work for. However, the more you're out in the community doing anything, the more people you're going to meet, the more visibility you're going to gain for whatever it is that you're doing or advocating for. And so it's important to remember that and re-engage in that. And as Elliot, when he was little, my son was little, he was in, story time at the library and mom and baby dance class and MOPS play group and things like that. Well, then when he enters school, there are some still things like his sports groups, and we meet people there, but there's not the same kind of connection. And so for me, it was really important, and I always advise to my teammates that are struggling to get new customers, is to get out there and to try new things. And maybe it's not getting a different job or a new job. Maybe it's taking an adult learning continuing education class or a dance class or volunteering for a community walk that you see happening. Just getting out in the community, and you're not always going to be speaking about your business or what it is that you're doing, but it creates recognition for you, and you just can't do that when you're inside your house. You can do it somewhat through social media, which we all know, but gaining new customers takes a little bit more legwork than that. So I guess I just really wanted to share how I think it's been helpful for me to realize actually how difficult it is to work nearly full time and run a high functioning Scentsy business. And it's totally possible. And it's totally possible to have Scentsy be a vehicle that helps you reach your dreams. Like as it is right now, I wouldn't fully be able to just work at the nonprofit where I work at financially. And, but Scentsy makes it so that I can be a part of this organization and do something that means a lot to me and develop skills and create relationships and help people. And I can get to do all that because I also have a Scentsy business that helps, right? Like that income, we were solely depending on that income for many, many things. That income and my husband's income. And now we have my husband's income, my nonprofit organization income, and Scentsy income. And that all just makes it, better. So it's great that way. Additionally, I coach high school track, and that's a hobby of mine for sure. And I wouldn't be able to just coach high school track. You don't make very much money doing that. And so being able to do Scentsy supports me being able to recognize this dream that I've had since I was a high school athlete of being a high school track coach, and allows me to give back and be in the community and work with youth and mentor and all that good stuff. And it's because of my Scentsy business that these other jobs have happened. Not these other jobs are happening because my Scentsy business isn't enough and it isn't successful. I don't know if that is actually what people think. Nobody's said that to my face, but I guess I have feared that it would look like taking another job was an indicator of Scentsy not being as successful for me, but that's just not the truth. And I'm hoping this year, this keeps popping up. I'm really hoping and planning for 2019 for it to be even better than it ever has before, my Scentsy business and income, and looking to developing directors to be able to supplement their family's income in the same way that I was able to, and still am able to. I can't say supplement now because it's the bread and butter, like it's the jazz, right? It's the main deal. But, just being able to do that, it takes time and it takes building a foundation and continued maintenance on it. It doesn't you just don't get there and then get to stop either. Because like I said, there's always going to be new teammates coming and new customers needed, and you need to add to your teammates because you're losing teammates. And so it's not something where you ever arrive. So anyway, that's been going great, and I am so excited about it. I'm so excited about the position that I've been able to take in the workforce, as that is also something that it means a lot to me. It's great to get out of the house, to put on adult clothes and talk to people. And hey, that's not for everybody, right? Some of you are all working and striving to quit that and leave that behind, and that's okay. Like, that is a really great goal to have. And so I think that's where I started this off with, was the way that I have done it. It seems to be a little bit backwards from the way that most people do, because most people the American dream, not most people, I shouldn't even say, because actually most people just work their job every day and just work that and don't try to strive for something more, right? Or try to have both. But those of you who are working that full-time job and working your Scentsy business so that you can one day leave that full-time job, and that's your ultimate goal and that's your ultimate dream and motivator, that's great. You know, I think it's just finding whatever it is that motivates you, and that's what I wanted to share with the few of us represented. And I know there's others, because when I took this job, one of the first things I did was ask on the Superstar Director page, who do any of you all work outside of Scentsy? Because Superstar Directors, it's mostly, I would say mostly, it's fair to say, full-time Scentsy. And, the people come on and said, yeah, so-and-so does, so-and-so does, so-and-so does. So I kind of reached out to them and said, how do you do this? And, organization is huge. Support a family is huge. Those were their ideas. I would say finding a system that works for you is huge, whether it be, I can handle doing this on this day and getting that done and this, and I can handle this type of incentive, but I can't handle this type of incentive because this one's too much tracking and I just don't have time for that. But this one that's cut and dry, one report, and I can tell who earned it, I can do that and reward that way. And so just kind of picking and choosing what as a leader you can provide for your team and what you can handle has been helpful. And I continue to learn and grow, but want my team to hear and anybody else to hear that one of the reasons was so that I would know where you are and know what you're going through and know how hard it is to work all day, come home, be with the family, make food or do errands, and still do your Scentsy business. And I know that it's totally possible, and that growth is possible, and earning awards is possible, and earning incentive trips is possible while still doing that. So anyway, thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask away.